Hi guys, it's Lewis-duncan. So, I kind of wanted to talk to you about fashion and style and sort of my take on why I love fashion so much and really what kind of got me into the industry and why I love what I do. I've been watching some documentaries today on YouTube about the industry and everything that encompasses fashion, and I have a couple of, I would say, icons or people I look up to and would maybe hopefully aspire to, but obviously it's different levels, so it's, it might never happen, but I think it's always nice to sort of strive forward, and I'm a Pisces, so therefore I think dreamers are part of what Pisces do. So really, I was watching a documentary about Tom Ford, and Tom Ford has always been one of those designers that has inspired me and my choices in terms of my mature taste within the fashion of what I choose to wear, but also has also adapted my tastes and has sort of introduced me to things I probably wouldn't have necessarily known. When Tom Ford was at Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent, I was quite young at the time, and Gucci to me was more about sort of older school luggage, and in the 80s it was quite excessive, and obviously they were near bankruptcy, and Tom come in the white shining knight, so to speak, and really saved Gucci and turned it into a brand that I was interested in. At the time, I was probably never going to go into the store. I had a couple of Gucci bags which were from sort of vintage, so really old ones, but I wasn't really excited about the brand. I don't think it was sort of aimed at the younger market. And Tom come in with his first collection with the velvet, the hipsters, the silk shirts undone, and done the most beautiful collection. And actually, I think now, if you look at it, it may have dated in terms of what is going on now, but they're beautifully made clothes. He did something with Gucci that really turned it around and made it a place I wanted to be. And I remember the first time when Tom had gone into the stores and kind of really completely changed how you felt when you were in a boutique. And actually, I think that's now been adapted by many labels now as well. The experience of going into such a high-end store is so completely different to how it used to be. And I think Tom was one of the reasons for that. You could feel the softness of the carpet, the way the music was played, the smells of the candles, and it became an experience, and it became one that I found myself really enjoying going into. If you've ever seen the film Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn, as Holly Golightly, talks about having the mean reds, and it's when she's feeling down and depressed, and she wanders around Tiffany. And at the time, I have gone up and down with many things in my life. Depression, I've had an eating disorder. I'm more than happy to have people ask me questions about it. I'm quite open about it, and still to this day, I suffer. I go, you sort of have many times. I think it's one of those things, unfortunately, they just don't go away as easily as you wish they would. But I found myself as a Pisces and dreaming, as I said, going into these stores and feeling comfortable and relaxed and in an environment where I felt safe, that I could just spend time and really enjoy it. So my mean reds became going to these stores and really enjoying it, but also I was studying fashion at college and everything, so it's kind of, I had interest in picking up the books, but also getting to see things like fashion shows where obviously as you build up longer and longer you get to do more and more shows, but also I think sometimes going into the store and feeling the clothes and trying them on and seeing the stitching and just the whole experience of fashion itself. And over the years I've been lucky to buy clothing and bags and accessories, but clothing has kind of always been somewhere where I really feel quite passionately about. But obviously, not everyone has a budget for couture clothing or high end clothing, and so kind of accessories and bags to become that aspect. But my particular style has kind of always obviously adapted and elaborated over the years, and has changed as you get older, because I think that just happens generally. But sort of my undertone idea of what my particular taste is, in my personal opinion, is actually quite simple and quite elegant, and is quite sort of understated. Over the years, I've worn some quite interesting clothing, and when I was modelling as well, because of my particular look, sort of the androgyny, sort of mixed feminine look, I was put into probably more avant-garde crazy things, but it's fab, and I think if you get to experience that side of fashion, it's amazing. And sometimes, stupidly, people still ask me to walk on their runways, and it's a massive honour to me. And I'm actually incredibly shy in real life with people I don't know. And a lot of my friends will vouch for that. And when I go to events and things, I kind of have to go with someone because I end up feeling a little bit awkward on my own, and I talk in the corner, and I'm sort of quite shy. But there's something about pushing me on a runway. I turn into someone else, and I strut it out, and I love it. And it's kind of the Beyonce thing when she talks about Sasha Fierce. And I sort of give myself a persona, and it kind of encapsulates fashion. So I've got to try many things over the years, but I always come back to quite a simple palette in terms of colours, textures and design. I've always really been interested in sort of gothic texture and gothic art. So when I was younger, I did experiment with gothic, or a goth, sort of as it became quite trendy, sort of now into the emo stage. But my gothic stage was somewhat slightly different to probably the standard goth. I did go to things like Camden Market and pick up studs and crosses, but I sort of turned them into how I wanted them to. I didn't want to sort of do that sort of overtly heavy look. For me, I'm naturally blonde. I never dyed my hair when I was younger. I liked it being really, really blonde, but I did do sort of paler skin and crosses and gothic, but it was more about sort of Victoriana, and that kind of style. And actually, going back to where Tom was at Gucci when he did a really beautiful gothic collection, I found something incredibly pleasant about that. And actually, one of my first pairs of sort of Gucci glasses was a very slim lined pair of Gucci glasses, and I don't know if I can quickly get them to hand. I probably won't be able to. Oh, there we go. So these are probably just as old as me now. Well, not far off anyway. These were the pair of glasses while Tom Ford was there, and at the time, it's sort of now, I don't think I would wear them as sunglasses, but perhaps maybe turn them into spectacles. But at the time, it was that really thing I was really heavily into, and there was lots of silks and gothic crosses and all sorts of things. And that's always sort of been within my style, is the undertone. I've always kind of enjoyed that aspect to it. I'm also quite a massive fan of sort of more relaxed clothing in terms of sort of loose fabrications. My choices in terms of what I like wearing, I absolutely love palazzo pants and large flares and harem, and sort of that sort of more fluidity shapes to trousers. So I love things like tweed, and I've also been a massive fan of low cut as well. I tend to wear my trousers incredibly low. It's just always been my style, and I feel really comfortable at that. Every now and again I will do skinnies and cigarette pants and things as well. But I just think you adapt to what you're comfortable with in. And in terms of style over fashion and sort of trends, I think it's really important as you get older and become more aware of your body shape, and to feel more comfortable in who you are as a person, is to dress how you feel comfortable, not necessarily because someone else is telling you that it is a trendy item or it's the must-have item. Don't get me wrong, I love going and seeing what's in and what's about, and working it if it goes with my wardrobe. I won't wear something just because it is the thing to have. I've taken my time over years within the industry. I've done over 15 years within the industry now, and I think you kind of become who you are as a person, and you will see things that are beautiful and you want to write about and feel and texture and touch, but they're not your particular style. But it's also fun to experiment as well, and as I said, just sort of during the modelling aspect, I think that gets that within your system and you get to try things. But sort of my basic wardrobe is probably 95% greys. I live in so much of a grey palette, and if you look at certain designers that are quite simple in terms of what they're wearing for how they project their clients and what they're designing for that particular label, they all sort of mention being more relaxed and more sort of simple about what they're wearing, so they're not thinking about what they're wearing, they're thinking about their customer. So for instance, Michael Kors tends to wear a black blazer and blue dark jeans pretty much all the time. That's kind of his look. Tom Ford is the open white shirt with the black suit. That man personifies sex appeal. Just incredible man. Just there's something about him that takes you away from fashion because you just want to sort of look at him. And there's something about when he took over Gucci and YSL, he made those companies inspiring and people wanting to be there because there was something about his personality as well. Sort of in terms of sort of quite a few mix of designers, you can think about Karl Lagerfeld, where he wears his lovely, beautiful white high neck shirts and sort of that kind of the fitted suits. And at one point, he would always be seen with a fan, and sort of it just kind of encapsulates. And I thought that was always fun. And I think as when I work with my clients, whether they be celebrity or a general person, and I'm styling them, I'm there to look after them. I'm not there to think about me and what I'm doing. So things like the loose clothing and loose comfortable items are really sort of more ease, and so you're down on your knees, you're moving around. But in terms of sort of the fashion and sort of over the years, I've been lucky enough to do modelling, as I've said. I've done makeup, I've done design, I've experimented in many aspects of the fashion industry, and now I'm sort of doing writing and styling and sort of presenting and a few other bits and pieces. But my heart is missing certain aspects of the fashion industry, and I'm thinking somehow that I will get back to where I want to be within that industry. And making this video is making me think about it. And the reason I'm doing it is I think once it's up and it's there, I'm sort of not forcing myself, but making myself realise that if I don't do it, it's not going to happen. And I've got some friends that are incredible at what they do, and the way they talk about themselves in terms of sort of what they're going to do with their lives, and they're passionate and they're empowering. And I miss that about what I had inside at one point. And unfortunately that is with things like depression and things that does sort of take its toll. But there's something missing as in me as a person, and it is my love for fashion and my expressing fashion, and I want to be able to get that back. I've never not enjoyed going to the shows. I'm always incredibly grateful to go to the shows. I love being at the shows, but there's something inside me that's missing doing something else with it in terms of sort of the writing or the styling. There's something missing, and I really want to get back into it, and I really want to sort of get people really excited about fashion again and do something interesting and show something different. And in terms of things like the videos and stuff, so if there was anything people want to cover that's different to other people, or there's something in my wardrobe, or there's something people have seen on a runway and they want to kind of descriptions of it or something, I'm kind of sort of open to suggestion from other people actually. And I would really like that if anyone has any ideas of what they would think. I can encapsulate perhaps doing something with the videos and things, but I'm going to tee off because the time restraints on the video, that's the only thing. But thank you for listening if you have listened. I'm sorry if I bored you to tears, but hopefully I get to speak to some amazing people. I've really enjoyed watching so many people's videos, and it's really got me excited about that side of fashion again. So have a lovely evening, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.